Have you checked the children? Your little mess
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Long days and pleasant nights, fellow travelers along the path of the beam. I am known on this level of the tower as Jaime and Fuego, and if you please, you join me here for a bit of palaver on Hail to Stephen King. That's Reese, y'all. Still on the mend, not 100%. Still got some of the nasals and the congestion and whatnot, but yes, no longer down with the sickness, to quote the Disturbies, as I was about a week and a half or so ago. So yes, a pleasure to have you joining me here for the 249th episode of Hail to Stephen King. Craziness, man, how just entering the 5th year of doing this this show that is basically my homage and my reverence for El Rey, none other than the king himself, dude who lives up to his name, as I have always said. And as you can see by all of these books behind me, the Tower of Tomes, yeah, I just got this in the mail the other day, which was pretty dope-ski. I don't know how well you can see that, but he's got the Thing of Evil with him, so that's going to be joining the new set. I'll just put that back there. But this is really what I have been waiting for so friggin' long. We are unboxing, voila, Night Shift. The Cemetery Dance release of the February 1978 was when this was originally put out, and I've got like 3 different copies of this. In fact, like this paperback that I've shown on here with the hand with all the eyes and stuff. I also have that as a shirt, which is pretty dope-ski. But so first I had the paperback, and then I've got that nice OG hardcover up there. But I pre-ordered this baby, and that is not a slight on Cemetery Dance in any way, shape, or form, because I have all of their Sai King releases from the It anniversary to the Secretary of Dreams stuff, and they've been doing the Doubleday years for a while now, obviously starting with Carrie, going to Salem's Lot, The Shining, but this is the one that, along with Sleeping Beauties, I pre-ordered them both around the same time, but I know for sure, because I had the email forever, I pre-ordered this baby on August 1st of 2017, I believe it was. So I've been waiting like 3.5 years, and I was so jelly that my homie Scott Baker actually got his copy like I think a week or 2 ago. So I'm on the other side of the country from him, if I'm not mistaken, so that probably played a factor. Cemetery Dance is based in Maryland, and at least in my estimation, now that's not to knock PS Publishing or or Subterranean Press, or any of those other peeps that do these really pristine deluxe editions of King stuff, but shout out to Chismar and obviously Blue Gilland, who is on the 250th episode of Hail to Stephen King, along with myself, Lou Sitzma, Mike Kearns of Mike's Book Review, Sarah Wagstaff. That's going to be a very fun panel to properly show all of you, but shout out to Blue. You're my boy, Blue. Very, very cool cat. And yeah, Cemetery Dance is second to none, in my opinion, when it comes to this sort of stuff. And oh boy, it's been a long time coming. But as I was saying, they had printing press problems, and that also affected the release of Sleeping Beauties, the collaboration with Owen. But all of their stuff is just beautimous. So it's finally here. Skopski, we got the bubble wrap. My inner child always wants to just start like popping this stuff off like crazy. I mean, yeah, there is something fun to that. Something that takes me back to the childhood and stuff, but okay, discard this down. It's just another motherfucker on the pile. Okay, so slide this baby open, and voila, there we go. Presumably, Children of the Corn references? That's the best that I could guess, but let's at least see what they have to say here on the back ski. In the ominous, frightening world of Stephen King, there are things unimagined, almost unspeakable, working the night shift. Strange presences in Jerusalem's lot, a town abandoned for generations, and with good reason. No one who wanders there now after the sun has set ever comes back alive. And the hideous growths on the hands of a former astronaut tiny round and yellow eyes popping through the skin, watching him, not liking what they see. And the mysterious little girl, lost in a fierce Maine blizzard, calling out to her rescuers in a pitiful voice, but she walks on top of the deep drifting snow, and she leaves no tracks. Yeah, we all know that's one for the road. Damn good one, damn good one. And the grim-faced children in a Midwest town, where no one seems to live past the age of 19, of course. And the vermin in the second subcellar of the old mill, abandoned to darkness for 100 years and now assuming shapes and sizes nature never intended them to take. That is the graveyard shift, the graveyard shift. And the giant folding and steam pressing machine in the Blue Ribbon Laundry, an impressive and reliable piece of equipment until it got its first taste of human blood. And yep, that's the Mangler, obviously. So, obviously arguable, at least from my standpoint, that Night Shift is most definitely King's best collection of short stories ever. And I've gone on record on this program many times to say the reason I feel that way is because all of them were pretty much written before he got famous, you know, before he sold those paperback rights to Carrie, and Sheasel got crazy for him. But it's when he was young and hungry, and most of them are incredibly mean-spirited, and that's not to say that there aren't gems in Skeleton Crew. I champion Just After Sunset all the time. Not so big into Nightmares and Dreamscapes and Everything's Eventual, but Bizarre Bad Dreams is also very strong and steady storytelling there too. But there's just something about the stories in this one, man. I don't know. They're all so incredibly diverse. I mean, so let's take a peek at some of the interiors, because I know, oh boy, yeah, limited to 3,000 copies. That is some grisly stuff right there. Yeah, the ripping off of the face, delightful. Man, I swear that Glenn Chadbourne, he just does the most ridiculously beautiful stuff for them. And I know this has 20 different illustrations in it, if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, long sold out, and best of luck if you're trying to track down a copy of it from somebody who's not going to take both arms and at least one of your legs for it. But, I mean, shit, you would at least need one hand if you're going to be doing any of that. But, so yeah, obviously very strong ones in here. I Am the Doorway. Boy, that's mentioned on the back here, too. Gray Matter is a personal favorite of mine, although I was a little less into the adaptation. So we've got an introduction by John D. MacDonald, which I look forward to reading. And then as I continue breezing through this, I believe the forewords by King's buddy Stuart O'Nan, who he did A Face in the Crowd with. He also co-wrote Faithful. And yeah, this is an extensive introduction. Oh wait, no, okay. This is, okay, so the foreword here, I believe, is the same introduction that I've seen from King at one particular point, but let's just get to some of these illustrations in here real quick as I continue talking about this. Now, one big selling point a lot of people were super excited about was the fact that there were 2 bonus stories that were going to be put into this, and so we've got The Glass Floor, which is a very early King one that I actually have in a different form, published in... yeah, this is really dope. This is obviously some of the conjuring of that Lovecraftian craziness that we get in Jerusalem's Lot, which is just a terrific story where dude is in the old abandoned rundown chapel and stuff. But so yeah, The Glass Floor I have from an older issue of Cemetery Dance magazine, but that had never been like properly collected before. And yeah, man, yeah, check it out. We've got the crazy monstrosities in the mill, I presume. Oh man, very, very dope stuff. But and then you've also got Weeds. Now, Weeds is the short story version of what actually became the lonesome death of Jordy Merrill, trying to remember, from Creepshow, the one where King really hammed it up. And that's also never been properly collected, just like The Crate, which also is a short story, has never been properly collected. But Weeds and The Glass Floor are both in here. Man, this is really grisly and grimy from the aforementioned Gray Matter, where dude is chugging down some of that nasty beer with the slime on top, and he just turns into this grotesque monstrosity. Like, this is just hit after hit for me. Aside from maybe like a Strawberry Spring or something, that's obviously from I Am the Doorway, crazy oddball shizzle going down. But I mean, there's really not a lot of weak material in here. It's some of King's most iconic short stories, hence the mention of Children of the Corn and, you know, The Mangler. So I believe there is, in fact, yeah, so this is like the evil presence in the laundry press. So very dope illustrations, man. And that always just brings so much more life and vibrance to some of these. Like here we have this for the Boogeyman, which is not one of the better ones in my opinion. But I mean, still, I mean, it's really, really tough to point to a specific thing in here that could be, you know, anything. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, so this is gray matter. I don't know what I was thinking. But more presumed grotesque sliminess as the monstrosity that once was that young boy's father just grows and grows and grows and grows. But okay, Battleground, I'll definitely say Battleground, not a personal favorite. That was made into a episode of Nightmares and Dreamscapes. So even though it was called Nightmares and Dreamscapes, that TNT series actually kind of cherry-picked a few different stories. And so then we have Trucks, obviously, Trucks being another one that was adapted into Maximum Overdrive, and then the that illustration's not quite as impressive, just this protruding arm vehicles sitting out and about. But yeah, man, I am just incredibly excited to finally have this in the collection. Sometimes They Come Back. Boy, the adaptation of Sometimes They Come Back is so friggin' solid. It's a pretty dope illustration right there. Yeah, the adaptation of Sometimes They Come Back is solid, but it was dwelling within the constraints of television. That's one that I would actually really love, as I've said here on the program before, that I would love to see them actually come back to, because of the fact that it's just the dark aspects of, you know, the ending to that one, and so this is cool for Strawberry Spring. Strawberry Spring was one that King wrote when he was still in college, if I'm not mistaken. And in comparison with like the really ahead of its time sophistication of something he wrote around the same time in his life, which is The Long Walk under the Bachman banner, I don't know, man. I've never been as into Strawberry Spring. It seems a lot more amateurish. The Ledge, another one that we saw adapted in Cat's Eye, and actually done pretty good in Cat's Eye, if I'm not in my personal estimation. But yeah, The Ledge is one of those King and his fascination with like kind of mobster sort of stuff, and the prancing, just grass-eating craziness of the Lawnmower Man. Obviously, pretty much nothing to do with the adaptation that had Pierce Brosnan. Although I must admit, I have a soft spot for the silliness and the weird early like VR of that film. Quitters Incorporated being another one here. So as you can tell, and Quitters Incorporated was also in Cat's Eye, done very ridiculously. Here we have the suffering wife, because that's how they doll out the pain if you decide to sneak a schmokey. So yeah, man, I know what you need. This is another one that I've never been, you know, just the hugest fan of, unfortunately. And I actually did an entire series of reviews a couple years ago where I basically did a deep dive into every single one of these stories. And so here you see the girl that dude is obsessed with and has been obsessed with since like grade school and stuff. And so, but yeah, and once again, in Children of the Corn, I'm really curious what the illustration for this is going to look like. My personal favorite, there is that new Children of the Corn that we don't know when it's going to be released. They briefly showed it in theaters during the Pandeezy, and they have not announced like a proper home or VOD release for it yet, so I'm really curious when we're going to finally get to that. But the iconic imagery of where they find the dead officer and preacher, I think, if I remember correctly, and stuff, and just, man, the sci-fi version of that is actually my personal favorite for Children of the Corn. The Last Rung on the Ladder, this is another one. It takes place in Hemingford Home, same place as The Stand. Oh, and I also have my my pre-order of The Stand. It was already in, and who knows when I'm going to see that, but it will obviously be worth the wait because everything Cemetery Dance does is dope. This is a sad story about a suicide of a sister, and yeah, it takes place in the Hemingford Home, none other than ground zero initially for... Okay, this is cool. Ground zero for Mother Abigail and The Stand, obviously. So, yeah, impressive artwork throughout. Here we are at One for the Road finally. and the little pseudo Salem's Lot epilogue of sorts. There you've got the girl who they said on the back floating on the snow, who's already been turned. The woman in the room. This one is just very, very sad. It was actually adapted as a Dollar Baby by Frank Darabont, and it deals with themes of euthanasia and just the suffering of a loved one, and how far you should actually go. Okay, so it was the afterword that Stephen Onan was doing, and that the foreword is by King himself. So Onan, pretty brief, only about a page and a half we get from him. Cool acknowledgements, and then our bonus section, which I've actually never... Did I read Weeds? Because I know Weeds was previously collected in a Cemetery Dance installment of Shivers, Shivers 6, Shivers 7, something like that, because I know I have the crate from one of the Shivers, or maybe it's Squad D, I don't know. There's a lot of these like King uncollected stories floating around. Glass Floor I think is only like a couple pages, but we do have an illustration, and it is actually not the same illustrations as in that Cemetery Dance magazine version of the Glass Floor. So I guess I'm holding on to that now for the crazy King completist collector. And I'm guessing we are going to also have an image here for, yeah. And they did do him up to kind of look like King, right? It's crazy. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to revisiting Weeds, because I think I did have it way, way back at one particular point. Oh, we get a bonus image for that one too. That's cool. So yeah, everybody, there you have it. That is, at long last, this delightful Cemetery Dance special edition. I have to find actual room for this sucker because of the fact that we are in the midst of getting ready for a set like redo, and I'm just trying to figure out, do I go with a bigger bookshelf? I mean, at this particular point, I can't even show off all of my deluxe editions that I have on the bottom floor here. Like back on the older set, the smaller bookshelf, as I was still amassing a lot of these and still in the process of reading everything King published, between, Carrie and obviously, all the way up to his most recent If It Bleeds. It took about 7 years for me to read everything King in published order, and boy, it was a hell of a journey. It's weird because like this show has been, since getting past that point, it's definitely been like, rack your brain about what is there still to cover. There are still things, obviously. I love my anniversary coverage. Cell is actually, even though we were a little off schedule when I got sick right around the new year, but yeah, Cell is the book of the month, and the first February of this upcoming month, the first Saturday, February, I should specify, that's where we're going to be having our live spoiler discussion, talking about all of that. But before that, next week, as I said earlier, 250 episodes, and the panel that I was so blessed to get to do with the aforementioned, Sarah, Blue, Mike, Lou, we talked all about Stephen King on screen, and that is, it's going to be the encore presentation of that. It was initially for Phoenix FearCon 2020. It was a virtual panel that we pre-filmed and basically went through a lot of our favorites and least favorites and disappointments and surprises and stuff like that for both King television adaptations and King feature films on the big screen, obviously. So that will be the big supersized episode celebrating 250 of this, and then the following week will be Cell, and that will probably be the farewell to this set, because we are actually doing a little bit of bonus Joe Hill coverage. Hail to the Hill, I haven't been able to do that in quite some time, because it's really been just the Joe Hill comic stuff in the last year or so. Did all of the novels, but I want to talk about some of my most wanted adaptations, and also just bring some attention to some of my favorite short stories of his. So we're going to do a couple weeks of Hail to the Hill, or Run to the Hill, as I rebranded it. And then I'm thinking about doing a bonus Owen episode. So the Hail to Stephen King has always been, in my estimation, a celebration of the entire King family. And the fact that I have never read any Owen stuff, I know he has one novel in particular that is fairly easily accessible. Here it's not really horror at all. It's like, the Americana sort of thing. And I also want to track down some Tabby stuff too. So since I have not explored that, I've read all the Joe Hill stuff, including his most recent comics like Plunge, basket full of heads, you know, all the lock and key stuff, and there's more lock and key coming, which is really exciting. But yeah, I want to shed some more attention on just the rest of the family in the coming weeks after you know, we celebrate that big milestone of 250. So I hope you got something out of this cool unboxing, and make sure to check out All Things Cemetery Dance. They just put up a pre-order. I'm not even, there was a script that was apparently commissioned for the sequel to the Talisman, which is Black House, you know, the second in what we're hoping still, fingers firmly crossed, will be a trilogy of King and Peter Straub and the Adventures of Jack Sawyer. But Black House is a much darker, more hard-boiled detective sort of fare, and a script was commissioned, and apparently it was never made into anything because of some conflicts with Amblin having the rights to the Talisman specifically. So I would imagine like a lot of references to that work would have to be left out, certain names and events and whatnot. So that would make it significantly tougher. Although there is a story within that story where I feel like you could like de-emphasize the tower connections, and you could really just have it be its own really effed up, like, you know, murder mystery sort of situation. But that is for another time. But jump over to Cemetery Dance, check out not just that, but all of the terrific stuff, not just King related, because the King stuff is obviously, it goes quickly. But yes, they spotlight all kinds of other great genre writers, and so shout out to CD, Cemetery Dance, and the whole gang over there. So I extend a grande gracias a Jaime and Fuego, and you can find moi on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube. Haven't really been as active on the social media in the last couple of weeks, but that will likely be remedied here in the coming days as I get back to feeling 100%. But there is a terrific Ka-Tet of peeps on the Hail to Stephen King group on Facebook. We've got almost 1,000 people on there, and even in my absence, with, you know, like just feeling better and whatnot, I have seen just so much activity, so much great camaraderie and kef amongst everybody there. So yeah, if you want to discuss all things King and Familia, that is the destination for that. Great palaver, as always, with an amazing group of people. And yes, obviously, gracias for watching this. Check out my solo channel in Fuegotainment. I'm going to be getting back to some coverage on there since since I got sick. I didn't really film much of anything at all because, you know, my voice was out and whatever. But yes, I look forward to getting properly back in the saddle again, to quote that. And like, share, subscribe here on The Horror Show. That is greatly appreciated. Obviously, spread the word. And yes, thanks for all of the wonderful memories with all of you. A grande gracias for us being about to enter the 250th installment of this program. There's lots more awesomeness to come. Later is available on March 2nd. That is the newest hard case crime entry from Sai King, and I can't wait to check that out and discuss it with all of you. So I've been Fuego, y'all have been Rad Status, and until the Wheel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, sen amigos, constant readers and viewers alike, say thank you. I hope we share more of this palaver sooner rather than later, and until then, stay scared and read Stephen King. Check out Night Shift, for God's sake. Even if you can't get a hold of this copy, oh man, there are some slobber knockers in there.